Beyond the Pain: Frida Kahlo's Empowerment Through Art by Shirley Marquez. Frida Kahlo is a Mexican painter that revolutionized the world, not only by her artwork but by her persona. On July 6, 1907, in Culiacan, Mexico, Frida Kahlo was born. Frida Kahlo's artwork reflected her life, transforming obstacles to meaningful art that resonated with many. Kahlo's popularity is shown in the material world that portrays an abnormal woman ahead of her time. The beginning of Frida Kahlo's life was a tragedy, as at the age of 6 she was diagnosed with polio, a rare and painful disease that is not curable. In her teenage years she was in an extreme bus accident that almost left her paralyzed. In 1944, Kahlo depicted her strength and vulnerabilities in The Broken Column, a semi-nude portrait of herself wearing a brace, with a clear view of her spinal cord made of metal. This metal spinal cord is to show her immobility, as the stiffness adds to the growing pain shown in her nails in the body from head to toe. This time of immobility allowed art to be the weapon to suppress the anguish and bring her power. The wounds are buried deep within her, yet there is still beauty within her body. The facial expression shows dominating power, as she is above the deterioration of her body to produce her fierce will. Frida Kahlo was famous for her realism through art. She opened the doors for her soul to be poured out onto the canvas. The second half of her life was Frida and Diego Rivera. This portrait was painted in 1931. The two were married in 1929. Diego Rivera was a well-known artist and was very successful as he was commissioned for many murals. The pair traveled all over the world, including the US. Although the two were married, their lives together were unlike any other. The emotional pain Kahlo endured after Rivera had an affair with her sister Cristina Kahlo was immense. Most of the self-portraits she painted showed a powerful woman, as she devoted her work to be a self-reflection of her life. The many impactful events in Kahlo's life was an inspiration to her. Art was an outlet for her emotions, the same pure emotions captivated her audience worldwide. Frida Kahlo was no ordinary wife. She was not in the household world all the time. She was also pursuing her own career, which Diego Rivera encouraged her to do. She is seen in this painting in her Tijuana attire. She always had bold colors and relied heavily on her husband. But on this portrait in 1932 depicts a terrible event and tragedy that rose in her life. The Henry Ford Hospital painting shows Frida Kahlo naked in a floating bed, surrounded by blood and 6 surrounding objects connected by veins. The series of symbolic emotions are represented by the snail, to show the slowness of her miscarriage. The fetus is shown as the biggest part and in the center, as the child that was unborn and Frida Kahlo lost. Next to it on the top left is a picture of her uterus to show the anatomy between her body. The other bottom left shows the X-ray machine that told her fateful fate. The lotus flower shows her uterus, and this was a gift from Diego Rivera at the time. A pelvis bone is shown to represent that she was the cause of her own malfortune, according to her. Her miscarriage was due to her disease. The sorrow and helplessness was clearly shown in this painting. Kahlo was ahead of her time, as she refused to bottle these emotions, but rather used art as a gateway to avoid depression. The scene is already terrifying for any woman, but Kahlo was unafraid to bring this topic to light, as even today, miscarriages aren't spoken of. Many choose to hide this, or simply remember their unborn child to themselves and not with surrounding people. The event mentioned earlier with Diego Rivera's affair with Frida Kahlo's sister. This is the portrait that arose after this scene occurred. This is the self-portrait with cropped hair in 1940. Kahlo is in a full men's suit sitting on a wooden chair. This is not the first time that Frida Kahlo has been in a men's suit. She was also taken a picture of previously. She never chose to be within the guidelines of society, and always did what she thought she would wanted to do, and was always unafraid of anyone's opinions. This scene is shown her cutting off her own hair. The hair length is almost male-like. She's symbolizing the stripping of her femininity. The rage is clearly shown as she is very hurt from the event that occurred. She stripped herself from the Tijuana outfit that she is normally wearing, that Diego Rivera so much adored. The loss of her hair and clothes is a caption to the artwork that is in Spanish on the top. But it can be translated to, "Now that you are bald, I don't love you anymore." The hairs on the floor seem to be almost alive, the detail and scattering all over of Kahlo as they move away from her. This portrait was to show that she was very fierce and powerful. She was never afraid to play within both gender worlds. She's moving on by herself and cuts ties to a man who unvalued her. She is basically telling Diego Rivera that she can and will do things on her own. And she is stripping herself of everything that he loved, including her hair and her normal attire. The world is very familiar with certain aspects of the life of Frida Kahlo, the majority being her trauma from early on in her life. As we know, this is the source of the inspiration and dedication of all the portraits that have appeared on canvas. Her popularity is shown all around the world as she is a cultural icon. She even had her own movie in 2002 called Frida. This movie depicts her life and shows just how much of a powerful person she is. Frida Kahlo is a well-known artist that even was referenced in Coco in 2016. You can see her in the skeleton lake with the monkey next to her. This is similar to the painting Self-Portrait with Monkey in 1938. You can even see the same almost frigid look. The one in Coco is a little more smiling than the one in the Self-Portrait with Monkey. But Frida Kahlo is such a huge icon that she is referenced in such big movies. Frida Kahlo was not able to see her legacy, as during her lifetime her fame was short-lived. Yet today her image is embedded within the material culture. She is a powerful woman that defied all stereotype laws, which is why today she is so famous and popular. She is unafraid to move from gender roles, and she was actively known to be bisexual during her time. This is very unknown and inspires many people today, as there were many today who agree with this type of look. During her lifetime, the emphasis was mainly on Diego Rivera, as she was popular towards the last end of her life. She rose into the material culture, which can be seen here. She was in many trinkets From plates to dolls to t-shirts to magnets to anything anybody can think of, Frida Kahlo is shown and referenced. Today, Kahlo is a global brand, shown in different commercial goods. Frida Kahlo is the cultural icon. As the interest of her widens with the goods sold, the desire and search for her as an artist and her character overall booms. Frida Kahlo's work is a reflection of her own life, where she is often at the center. Kahlo was one of the few artists who shaped her own image through her art. The artwork was real and centered around emotions. Society took her art and transformed Kahlo as an image that inspired people from the legacy Frida Kahlo left behind.